Hi, and welcome to today's episode of The Supporting Actor. I'm your host, Adrienne Streeter, so let's jump right into it. Hello, and welcome to today's episode of The Supporting Actor. I'm Adrienne Streeter, your host, and today we have a phenomenal show for you. But before we get started, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button and that bell so that when we do upload new content, you can get that notification. So without further ado, let's welcome Miranda Georgetown Riley to our podcast. Hello, Miranda. How are
Hello.
you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing good. Well, thank you so much for joining our podcast and sharing your journey as the supporting actor to your phenomenal daughter. So, without further ado, tell us about your daughter. I love her name, by the way,
Thank
Magnolia
you.
Rose. I love that name.
Thank you. I actually got her name off of a show, Dixie Chicks. No, hometown Dixie, something like that. And my mom's middle name is Rose, so she tells everybody, "Oh, Rose. That's where she got my name from." But yeah, so it's two flowers. But little Miss Magnolia Rose, she is 4 years old and is the most sociable, nonverbal butterfly there
Oh,
is. But everything was normal, I guess, with Magnolia. Pregnancy, um, everything. She, like I said, she is a bundle of joy. She met all of her milestones as far as walking and uh, doing different things. She did not, but she wasn't babbling. So I guess that would be the what it was. But my husband and my bonus son are both introverts, so I thought I was the only one in the house, just loud and talking, and everybody else was quiet and chilling. So we didn't think much of it. But anyway, Magnolia is she's a bundle of joy. She does not meet a stranger as far as every kid goes. She will always joke with her and tell her, like, you need to find a new way to say hello to people, because she's so excited to meet new kids and she can't contain that energy. So when she sees the new kid, she like skips sideways over, does her little stimming, and like does like a little like, how you doing? And then she runs off. And then she'll come back or whatever, or she'll just run up to the kids and hug them. But I mean, she just has so much love and she just loves everybody. But yeah, that's little Magnolia.
I remember when I met her, there were literally about 500 kids in a gymnasium, and she was knocked out sleep.
Wow.
And I said, how in the world is she sleeping during all of this? I was thoroughly, thoroughly impressed. So, your daughter has autism. How did you and your husband, your family, how did you all find out that she was on the spectrum, and how did you feel about that?
Yeah, so we didn't really, like I said, like she wasn't babbling and stuff, and I didn't really think anything of it because of my husband and my bonus son. But I had to babysit my niece for my sister while she did like a work training, and my niece at the time was 4 months old, and I babysat her for 2 weeks. Yeah, she babbled nonstop. She wanted to get our eye. She wanted to get our attention, so she was focused on us. She was watching us, moving, like she was interacting with us. And I'm like, my 18-month-old is not doing this.
Oh,
She's
wow.
not babbling. She's not, giving me eye contact. She's not responding to her name. And I know a lot of parents talk about how their kids were they do all these things and then they regress. Magnolia never formed babbling speech as a baby until after we kept my niece for 2 weeks, and I guess that interaction with her, um, she started babbling. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, well, there it is. And because of the time, because Magnolia was born in 19, so the pandemic happened right after that. So a lot of the kids, they were saying, oh, they're not exposed to people talking because everybody has a mask on. So
Mhm,
we figured
mhm.
it was something like that. She would
Mm-hmm.
watch a Disney movie with anything with music, and she'll just squeal to the top of her lungs or whatever. But that was really it. But my mom was the first one who's like, Miranda, because we did like the whole thing with getting her into speech with the pediatrician and stuff. But she was like, Miranda, what do you think about autism? Because I think she had been doing some research of her own and wasn't sure about talking to us about it yet. But she did ask us, what about autism? And as a mom, and you're not wanting anything to be different about your child, you're like, no, that's not what it is.
Mm-hmm.
That no, that's not what it is. So then I remember this very vividly. It was a week straight of me watching YouTube videos, Instagram reels, TikTok videos, reading blogs, but it was a lot of me watching different children
Mm-hmm.
act and just not act, just be, and watching my child and every single one of those children. And I cried for a week straight. And what we call this as parents who have accepted our child's diagnosis and everything, it's your week or however long and you need to take it. But it was my week of grief. And I grieved what my expectations were for her life at that point. Because, as you're carrying a baby, you have all these expectations of what you're going to do with your child and
Right.
what your child is going to be, even before they're even here. Like, you have all these
Right.
expectations. But now you hit this. But in my mind, it was a roadblock because I didn't know what autism was. I didn't know any autistic person, any autistic child. I didn't know what it was. So there's just this wall. And it's like, what happens to my child? So, you go through this whole thing, and it was grief. That's all I could call it, because it was crying and like, what's gonna happen to my baby? I even had like I gave her this strong name, and now she has this like she might have this because I knew she was autistic. I was looking at everything these children were doing, like, this is definitely her.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
I gave her this strong name. Like, how is she gonna live up to this strong name? Like, and that's my confession as a transparent heart as a mother or whatever. And those are the different things that I was, that was going on in my head. But then I finally, was like, you know what? It's okay. It is okay. And then I asked her speech therapist about it. And I was like, what do you think about autism? And she's like, it was her name was Miss Laura, and her face was like, I was trying to figure out how to tell you that you should get her
Wow.
tested, because it
Wow.
is such a hard thing for even the therapist who can see it in your child. Because it's one thing for you as that one, you have that one child, right? But these therapists are dealing with multiple children, so they can see
Right.
the signs. But
Right.
parents are very like, oh no, not my baby. Oh, nothing's
Right.
wrong. But
Right.
first, like, if you can not necessarily fix it, but do things for like early intervention is the best
Yeah.
intervention.
Yeah.
So once we did that, we were able to move on and do all of our intervention, and that worked great.
So I, I have, I know people who have children who may be on the autistic spectrum, um, but like you may not have wanted to accept it because this can't be my child. How would you, or what would you say to parents who may have just received or may have an inkling in the back of their head that their child may be on the spectrum and they're having a difficult time accepting it? Like, what would you say to those parents?
The first thing is, it's okay.
Mhm.
It is okay. Take that time. Like I said, I took a week. Take the time that you need to grieve, because it's a natural step or phase in this journey. All
Yeah.
parents go through it. I speak with multiple parents throughout the month, and like, I meet new parents every time I do something. But take that time to grieve, take that time to accept it. And once you've accepted, you get up and you go and you
Mm.
do what you need to do for your baby. You get out there and get the resources that are available to them and the therapies. Early intervention is the best intervention. It is one thing to think that your child might be on the spectrum or might be different, and you choose to just ignore it
Right.
and not get your child intervening help or whatever, but you're
Right.
doing a disservice to your child. Ultimately, like the whole reason behind being parents, like we're supposed to be there to support our children no matter what. My thing is, I always tell parents, if your child broke their foot, you're gonna bring them to the doctor, right?
Right. Right.
if
Yeah,
your
you are.
child if your child can't see, you're gonna bring them to the doctor.
Yeah,
You
you are.
know, like we're as humans, as people, like the physical disablements, it's easier for us to reconcile. But if it's something that can't be seen, because autism is not a disorder, it's not a chromosomal disorder, so you
Right.
don't know that the person that you're speaking to until you have that interaction with them, that they are autistic. And so some parents will take it, well, I don't want nobody to know.
Mm.
But you're doing a disservice to your child and to your child's future. So go ahead and get that child the help that they need. And it's a lot easier now. It's still a long wait list for most of these things, but it's a lot easier now because the pandemic messed a lot of people up in getting the intervention for their kids. But
Yeah.
now things are open and available. So definitely just getting that intervention that your child needs and accepting it. And I'll I'll say this, I have parents who are like, well, we haven't told anybody yet that our
Mm.
child is autistic. Well, you have a nonverbal 7-year-old. I think everyone knows that there's something different about your baby. And if those people are still in your life, I think they're okay with you and your kid.
Exactly.
And so,
Exactly.
right. So I mean, so get that baby help and do what you need to do for your child and your child's future. Because I mean, that's what we want our children to succeed. Neurotypical, neurodivergent, whatever. We want them
Right.
to succeed. So we have to do the things that we need to do.
And that, our podcast has been created to be a space where parents can come on, talk about their journey, share resources, and just really help support one another on their journey, supporting their child or even children if they have multiple. Um, and the podcast, we talk about whether the child has been born with a special need or a disability. And one of the things that we will talk with or show our audience later is your wonderful website. But one of the things that you talk about is autism is not, or maybe shouldn't be classified as a disability, but rather it is classified as different abilities, and I
Mhm.
love that. I absolutely love that. Can you speak to coming from someone who grieved for a week to shifting your mindset around, "This is not a disability, but rather my child, my daughter just has different abilities."
Mhm. Yeah. So with autism, I always tell people, autism is a communications disorder.
Mm,
It is a disorder where the child or the person, they interact with the environment differently than us neurotypical people will.
yes.
So we have deemed it to be different or wrong because it's not how we interact with our
Right.
environment. So I personally think like they're like little superheroes, because I was talking to some parents the other day, like because of how they like one, they're fast as I don't know what, elopement.
Yeah.
So they'll just run off. But they're very fast and they're strong because of
Mm,
how like they interact with their environment. But the way they perceive the world, um depending on because depending on where they fit in the spectrum, you
mm,
know we like, because I'm not gonna lie to you. So I would see my daughter doing different things. She could put patterns together and build things. I'm like, oh, she's a little genius. You know, you see your child doing something different, like, oh, okay, cool. But it's just how they interact with the world. Like Magnolia has this big soul, and she's just happy and exuberant, and just she loves hard, or she loves to give tight hugs because she needs that sensory pressure, and she wants to show you that, oh, I love you, and oh, I want to be by you, and like they just have big feelings, and because of how they interact with the world. And why do we see this as, well, as a parent, you know, before you really understand and know about autism, and then, you know, once your child is diagnosed and you realize what level they're on and stuff, you, all these other perceptions are, I guess, you find that there's something wrong. But no, you have to figure out, okay, so my child interacts like this. My daughter will only eat these things. I mean, she's still a toddler, but the pickiness is on a whole nother level. I'll say that. Um, she eats muffins. This, I guess, is a side note. So she eats the Tiny Tots banana muffins. Like we should be stocking that, right? But she is still gaining weight like she's supposed to, and she's still doing everything when she eats less than 30 foods. So that whole thing about you need your meats, your vegetables, and your milk and all this. My daughter was breastfed for 2.5 years and won't touch any type of milk, no matter if it's from a nut or a cow.
Wow.
Or any animal, goat milk, cows, nothing, no type of milk. But she's still gaining and doing what she's supposed to. She's where she needs to be. Like I said, with the different levels. So there's I'll say right now, because as they learn more about autism, they do change things. But right now the levels are level 1, level 2, and level 3. And that's basically how much that child or that person, how much support they need to interact with us neurotypical people. Because we we make the world, right? It's more of us, so you have to figure out how to live in our world,
right?
I think it's more of us. We should be trying to figure out how to live with them, because I mean, it's easier for us to change than it is for them or whatever. But Magnolia is I'll get, because since Magnolia is my child, like she's level 1, so that means she doesn't need as much support. So it's a whole spectrum, and it's a different sensory issues that they have. Magnolia is nonverbal. She has some words now. She is speaking more words now. So most of her issues is with communication, and because she is nonverbal. So, but she can hear. You know, she makes sounds. I don't know if y'all can hear it now. But
it's okay, we're enjoying it.
But she can, you know, she can verbalize stuff, and she can say different things, or she babbles really a lot as well. So but she has texture sensory issues. So tactile, not texture, tactile. So it's things she likes to touch, things that are on her. She loves dirt. She loves dirt. She loves mud. She loves anything that crumbles. Like those are the things that she gravitates to. And so it is just funny. And some things she will not touch, or she cannot have on her, because of how it makes her feel. But those are where her major sensory issues lie. Like she has no problems with sound, because that's the loudest little thing around here. Excuse me. No issues with too much light or whatever. And there's other different things as far as the sensory issues, because sensory items, because there's 9 of them, if I believe I'm correct. It's 9 sensory items that they can be categorized under. But hers are mainly communication and texture. Or tactile rather. So things that are like she can touch stuff in her environment. So basically she can be in a classroom setting, she's being trained for that. That's what her ABA is, which is applied behavior analysis. So instead of doing pre-K, that's what we're doing, and it helps her learn how to be in a classroom,
Mm-hmm.
because it's not as rigid as, I guess, pre-K. Like, hey, stay in your
Yep.
seat. You have to do
Yep.
this because these kids have to get up and move and stuff.
Yes.
So yeah, but
So one of the things that I always talk about is being an advocate for your child.
yes,
And whether that is because going back to your statement earlier, you during this pregnancy, you didn't know that you were going to become literally proficient in learning something about autism.
right.
In my case, I did not know I was going to be proficient in understanding how the muscles and the bones and everything works with club feet.
Mhm.
Like you just don't know these things. But being an advocate as the supporting actor, because they are the star of the show, you took it a step further. You didn't just stop and say, "Hey, I'm going to just live by what's out there. I'm going to create a space that supports my daughter." And you created the Magnolia Rose Foundation. Can you
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about the foundation? Because I'm really excited to share that with our audience.
Yes, so the Magnolia Rose Foundation for Autism Acceptance is we host play dates for
Wow.
young kids, for autistic and neurotypical kids to come together in a safe and fun environment to learn about each other's differences. So we basically rent out different places, or yeah, we rent out different places, even places that autistic parents or parents of
Mhm.
autistic children are hesitant to bring their kids to.
Mm.
And we let the child experience that place, like whether it be the movies, jump parks, museums. We did a splash pad yesterday.
Really?
Splash pad in the park yesterday. And we also tell them, hey, bring your neurotypical siblings, bring your neurotypical family members, bring your neurotypical friends, because I started this play date. Well, we started the Magnolia Rose Foundation because of me and my best friend. We were pregnant together. We once we found out, when you're
Yes.
pregnant, you're like, okay, we're pregnant together. So if it's gonna be a boy and a girl, they're gonna get married, of course. But if it's two girls, they're gonna be best friends. That is where our head was doing the most. But we had two girls. Her daughter's name is Esther, but they've been doing we did monthly play dates with them since they were in the womb,
Mhm.
literally. And then even when, because Esther's older by 2.5 months, even when
Okay.
she was out of the womb, I have pictures of her laying on my belly. Like, they were best friends. We were guaranteeing it. But as they have grown together during their play dates, we watch how they interact with each other.
Mm.
Magnolia will let Esther hold her hand and take her places. Like, she is so excited to see Esther. Like, she goes up and she'll hug her and stuff. And Esther is okay with Magnolia stimming, with Magnolia squealing, with Magnolia what she does, because she has grown up with her and she
Yes.
understands, hey, this is how Magnolia is. So that was the whole premise behind our play dates. If these neurotypical kids can grow up with neurodivergent children, with autistic children, they will understand, because an autistic child will grow up to be an autistic adult. So
Mhm.
these adults, these children who have a good understanding and acceptance and will include these children will do the same once they become adults. And
Absolutely.
that's what we're trying to provide, a world of inclusion. Because I can attest that I know that when I was in school, the special needs class, or the special needs children, were in a classroom at the back of the school. You didn't
Yeah.
see them. You
You
might have
didn't
saw them when
interact
they came off
with
the bus, but you did not interact with them.
them. Right.
And that's what's really wrong with, I mean, I guess, our society. With the people who are different, we try to separate them. And so that's one of the reasons why I didn't know anything about autism, because I didn't have any interaction throughout any time of growing up, adulthood, or anything like that. But that is why we're doing this now, so we can get these kids involved with each other and understanding each other and
Mhm.
accepting each other. So we do that. We do those play dates, and they are phenomenal. Right now, we serve between 60 and 70 families. Not saying that all those families come, but that's how many. That's how many we see. Probably every other play date, that amount of families will come to play date, depending on, because we do have some that are way larger than others. Which, I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you, Adrian. I did not realize the need for what I
Yes.
do now. I always joke and say that I've given myself a full-time, non-paying job with starting a nonprofit. And I wasn't necessarily prepared to do it. I started this because once Magnolia got diagnosed, I had just had my son, David James, in November 21, and we got her diagnosis December 21. And I was looking for a walk or something to be involved in the month of April for Autism Acceptance Month. And that's
Mhm.
Magnolia's birth month. So of course
Yeah, I
we
was
had
gonna say she
to
was born in April.
yeah. So yes, I mean, so it had to be a thing, right? I'm like, okay, we got to do this, and there was nothing, and I could. Everything was like, you want to do a virtual walk? Personally, if it's gonna be virtual, baby, I'm not walking. I'm not about to do that. I'll donate. I'm not about to
Yes,
walk if it's a
yes.
virtual thing. But so I told my mom my idea, and I love my mom. I call her my secretary, but she is my right hand with all these things that we do for the foundation. But I was like, hey, I want to do this thing for Magnolia's birth month, or like be like her birthday or whatever. I said autism acceptance month. I want to do like a little walk, because we live in the city of Baker and we partnered with the city. So I was like, I want to do it over there. And she's like, just invite just a few family or friends. It don't need to be that much. And I remember I was like, no, I'm inviting everybody. Everybody need to come. I want to tell everybody about this. Everybody needs to know. And
And
so
you
I
did.
did. And my mother indulged me and helped me. And we had over 200 people show up for my first event.
Wow.
I am,
Miranda.
everybody who knows me, I'm a little sap. So I was up there like, oh my God, y'all really came. Because
Oh,
it was really on a whim that we started this. And then after that, I'm like, let's do these play dates. And so the play dates are once a month. In our first year, parents had to pay for the child as well as themselves. But now that we've gotten sponsors and donors and things, we've had a few fundraisers. Now the parents, we always ask the parents, it's like a donation, but it's basically something to hold their spot that they're going to be there. It's $10, but with that $10 you can have 5 kids on there, and the five
oh,
kids are going to be free. So I mean, it really is a win. And it's whatever activity we're doing.
I
And we
love
also
that.
host parent support group meetings as well, and that's been fun.
So you do support group meetings for other parents.
Yeah, so we have parent support group meetings every fourth Sunday from 3:30 to 4:30. I hosted at one of our local libraries because I wanted to, have it around the city so it'll be easier for parents to attend. But I also hosted via Zoom, and you'll never guess this. So there is a definite need for these parent support group meetings because I have met so many people around the country because I put
Really?
my Zoom meeting on Eventbrite. So anybody around the country can
Can
tune in. I have had families on there from Sacramento, from Washington, from Long Island, from Jacksonville, Florida was the other day,
Wow.
Virginia Beach, I said Chicago, um, places in Texas, like literally all over the country.
All
I'm
over.
meeting parents who want to just talk to another parent who is
Yes.
going through the same thing. Because it's
Yes.
one thing, like you have your friends, you have your friends and they have kids, but they don't know. Like, and they're my friends are supportive. My family is supportive, but another parent who has an autistic child, they get it. Like
Yes.
they really get it. So you need that time to just be able to have that conversation with somebody. And that's
Well,
what we try to provide.
Well, I'm hoping that you will share with us your next virtual event, and we'll put that down in the description so that anyone who's watching would like to attend, they can.
Oh, yeah.
If you also see her foundation, Rose is scrolling at the bottom. You can go and support the organization, whether it's through a donation if you're not local, but if you are local, we hope that you join for a play date. Um, I just did an interview with another parent whose son was autistic and they were in a different state. And you know what
Uh-huh.
the number one thing she said that they lack that she wished they had, which is what you're fulfilling here in our area, is creating these play dates in these
Mm,
environments that children normally can't go to because there may be some sound. It may be too
yes.
overwhelming in terms of lighting. And with your play dates, I love that you all are creating this space where children, no matter what level they're on, they can come
Mhm.
and participate. And I love that. Miranda, this has been such a great conversation, and I cannot thank you enough for coming on, sharing with us your journey as a mom, as a major advocate. I love your foundation. And we just want to thank you and tell Magnolia Rose that we heard her voice loud and clear, and we are excited for the journey that she has ahead of her.
Thank you so much. I'm glad that y'all chose me to be on here. This is fun.
Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed it. So tell all your other friends if they want to share their journey, this is the place to do it. So I'm looking
Definitely will.
forward to, yes, I'm looking forward to having you on probably in the next season. This is season 1 and so we're
Okay.
getting geared up for season 2 and I think that this is such an important conversation for us to have for parents, nationwide who may
Yes.
not necessarily have the resources available, but that we can create that space for them to know they do have a support group, even if it is virtual.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Miranda, thank you so much. And thank you all so much for enjoying the show. We will see you next episode.
All right.
Take care. Well, thank you all once again for joining the supporting actor. What a great conversation. And I loved all of the great nuggets that Miranda shared with us about Magnolia Rose. Again, we just appreciate her being vulnerable and sharing their journey and really just showing that acceptance is part of not only providing for your child, but making sure that your child is set up for success in the future. So, thank you again, Miranda. Thank you, the Magnolia Rose Foundation. And thank you all so much for sticking around. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Until the next episode, take care of each other. Take care. Bye bye.